And here we go. Three, two, one. Hi, I'm Jeff, and this is.
I'm Kat.
We're here for the Miracles Online podcast. We're all about relationships, dating, marriage, and commitment. And today, Kat's got something very special for all of us. Why don't you take it over?
Thanks, sweetie. Okay, so welcome back, beautiful souls, to Miracles Online. We're so glad that you are joining us. If this is your first time, hi. And if you're coming back, welcome back. This is where digital love meets divine design. So today's episode, I wanted to talk about, it's anyone who's tired of the chase, whether it's online or not online. Tired of trying too hard, feeling or wondering if you're not enough to attract real love. So, what if I told you that manifesting your divine partner isn't about forcing the universe or God, it's about flowing with it? So, what if the right person isn't hiding, but simply waiting for you to align with who you already are at your very core of your soul? So, this isn't just another dating strategy. This is about stepping into your self worth, your clarity, and your faith. So, before we dive in, let's get grounded in the present moment. Let's soften our nervous system and open our heart space, because it's our heart space that magnetizes synchronicities, serendipities, and magic into our life. Not our thoughts. Our thoughts are the antenna. Our heart is the magnet. So, together, I'd like us to breathe. If it's safe for you to close your eyes, and let's practice a calming rhythm that I have loved for decades. It's been called many different things. I call it four-square breathing. So you're going to breathe in gently for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold at the top. 2, 3, 4. And exhale through the mouth. 2, 3, 4. Hold at the bottom and exhale further. 2, 3, 4. Again, inhale. 2, 3, 4. And hold. 2, 3, 4. And exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold, trust. 2, 3, 4. Last round. Now inhale. I am loved. 2, 3, 4. Hold. I am safe. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. I release urgency. 2, 3, 4. Hold. I receive divine timing. 2, 3, 4. Let your breath return to natural rhythm. Feel your body soften. You're not behind. You're not doing it wrong. You are becoming the person your divine partner has been praying for. So let's begin. So, Jeff, let's talk about pushing or forcing or chasing attachment, constant searching. And then let's define flow or magnetism, self-trust, divine timing as the opposite. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, let's take the thought of attachments and I think the guidelines and requirements of what you're coming up with within yourself, thinking that that is the definitive, concrete, no flexibility. And by doing that, you start to narrow and compartmentalize it.
Mm.
And what you're doing is you're actually constricting it. And you're not looking at what is the ultimate partner coming in, bringing me something that I never even thought of.
Mm.
So that's important to recognize, that if you're controlling the environment and you're adamant about controlling the environment and you have to have it a certain way, then you're going to restrict what's coming to you. So is that what you want?
Mm. Mm. I love that description, Jeff, and it parlays perfectly to my next thought. And that is that divine partners are aligned through resonance and vibration, not hustle. And we're going to get deeper into that when we talk about vibrational match further into this episode. I have a metaphor for that I think is great. And that is, you don't yell at a flower to bloom, you nurture the soil, right?
Yes.
A flower just is a flower. And yes, and we nurture it to be a better flower. So what's meant for you won't miss you. I've mentioned before, and I think it's in my book, Love Wants You as Much as You Want Love. But you must be available to receive it. And you need to trust the pace of what I call divine alignment.
Right. Yes.
Okay, so like attracts like, and we're going to get into that. If you let's just say, if you want a conscious partner, are you living consciously? I think sometimes we miss in that rigidity that you talked about, Jeff, where, well, we must have this and we want this and we want that. We don't really take a self-examination of, are you living those values today? Right? So, you and I talked off camera, what is emotional availability? If you want someone who is emotionally available, are you emotionally available? Because if you're not, again, like attracts like. The universe, God, whatever you call it, doesn't bring you what you want. What you want is coming from lack. It matches vibrations. Right?
Right. Because saying similar frequency, similar vibrations will be closer to each other. It's like magnetism in a way that, the attraction of it. But let's just look at it. 1,000 hertz, 100 hertz is this far. Okay. Now 999 hertz, it's right here. See, that's what we're talking about. Aligning your consciousness, your vibration, your attitude, your energy level.
And energy is vibration. And whether you believe it or not, I know you believe there's air. We don't see air, but we believe there's air. Mm-hmm. We know there's air. Energy, everything is vibrating at a hertz level. Is that correct?
Yes.
I know most of the time we have in our home 432 hertz.
Sound frequency.
Sound frequency. Right? Which is a vibration playing on our big screen. It's the closest to the natural balance of the universe, I believe is how it's described. And that's something that we've done for years. But again, like attracts like. If you want someone who is emotionally available, like we talked about, are you emotionally present with yourself? It starts with being with yourself. And you may be looking for what you lack. That's not going to match up vibrationally. So have you done the inner work? Because if you don't, I've heard it described as inner work is romantic prep. And I love that, because I've never heard it really described like that the inner work that you do to really uncover who you are as a person, vibrationally and every other way, that is what defines you. But I never heard it as a romantic prep work for finding a partner. Would you agree with that, Jeff?
Well, I'm the classic example of it, and I'll share my story on this because I'd studied Wicca and witchcraft spells and so forth in the past, and Scott Cunningham's book about nature and natural ways. And I did align my consciousness, my spirituality, my energy, my so-called everything of the focus of the intent was aligned to finding the perfect mate. And there was a message to me that my life was going to change and it was going to go into a different path when I find my mate that was going to make my life grand, where by myself I was not. And it's not saying that I wasn't having a great life.
You went from great to grand.
I went from having a good life, but always feeling missing, not having the partner, not having the love, not having the yin to the yang, the balance of it. And when I just realized after studying and reading so much books and metaphysicals and whatnot, so that I realized that, okay, I'm going to put my ultimate intention into this. And I went to the beach and I went through a ritualistic performance of giving it to the universe of my ultimate intent. And that universe absorbed it. And that's all. I just let it go then at that point, because I already know that was my energy at the utmost.
And that is key, surrender, whether you're surrendering to the universe, to God, to Jesus, surrender. Our Creator wants us to surrender, and there is power in surrender. It's funny because before you discover that magic, I think our egoic, tiny brains want to think, oh, I need to do it all, and I can do it all, and I have to do it all. Surrendering is weak. It's anything but weak. It's powerful. It's very powerful. Let's talk about self-love. The frequency of self-love determines the frequency of who you attract. And I know you and I have both gone through our healing from our pasts. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Jeff? Because you were ready also from having healed your inner child. And I really feel that in order to attract and be on the frequency to attract the best partner for us, we need to do that inner work and heal whatever we have from our past, from our childhood, to come to be our most authentic self. And I know as a hypnotherapy practitioner, I deal with this a lot in guiding folks to heal their inner child so that they can live their best lives. So do you want to talk a little bit about that, Jeff?
Yeah. And let me just bring this point up. I'm Chinese descent. So the culture for many, many years, we're talking about thousands of years, that the male species in the Chinese culture has the authority where the females did not. So the females were to be subservient, and the divine feminine was removed from that culture. And that carried on for all the way into the 20th century. I grew up with, even though with the Western teachings, I was very much a misogynistic, machismo man.
Not when I met him.
No, but the way my heart was looking for love versus my brain that was looking for love, and versus my woohoo was looking for love, is all disconnected because of the way that that culture instilled the cornerstone in the beginning. But as I got older and watching TV and whatnots of the American broadcast and conditioning of, oh, women are sex objects and so forth, and pretty soon what you find is your determination to find the perfect mate is, man, she's hot. And that's really where most of the guys fail, because they're conditioned and programmed to think that way. So for me, I've definitely had many failed relationships, and not due to always my fault. Of course, that's my opinion, right? But ultimately, I know that I didn't have the greatest grand relationship like what I have now. And the reason behind it is I wasn't ready. And how do I get ready? How do I even know I wasn't ready or I need to be ready? And the irony behind this whole thing is you don't know until you make that metaphor change. Once you change and you understand how to be selfless, how to adapt to give and take, how to understand definitive guidelines of commitments, then everything changes into the next step and then it gets better. And then your attractiveness to the next opportunity is start to formulate, and you see that the reality is not giving you the same anymore. It's not that, oh, well, if this reminds me of that relationship, this reminds me of this relationship. You're now going into a new realm. So self-discovery, selflessness is key. And how do you get that? Well, many ways. You can get that by, studying and being in a religion. You can also do self-discovery on self-help. You can do a variety of different things, especially today with artificial intelligence, ChatGPT. You have greatness of intellectual, mechanical component to help you. Ask the question, how can I become selfless? How can I get the best of myself through intentions and acts? Ask that to your artificial intelligence. Let that come back and reflect to you. Because one thing that you have at that chance is you have the greatest knowledge base. Where if we were talking person to person, it's only that person's experience that I'm going to learn off from. So there's a huge difference in that. For me, selflessness came along the way, one step at a time. And then ultimately, what opened and blew the door is going to Making Love Works workshop, Barbara DeAngelis. And what was that about? Making love work.
But the key to that, because we don't have the benefit of telling the entire story, but was healing the inner child. Because whether we realize it or not, almost 90% of our life, of how we are mobilizing ourselves in this human condition, is run by the subconscious. Our subconscious has everything imprinted in it, every word, every sense, every color, every experience. And we are only conscious of a very small portion of that. So when our life isn't going optimally or how we think it should, and there's underlying pain, it's probably coming from subconscious lies, basically, that we told ourselves, probably between the ages of 5 and 15, that were imprinted, whether it was teachers or parents or clergy or bullies or what have you. And you can tell yourself a better lie, as I've been taught, through the subconscious mind. Or, back in the time frame that Jeff did this workshop, it was an intensive multi-day breakthrough that he had to really release that pain and those lies that your subconscious was telling you, that's running in the background like a software program.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I never knew it.
And he never knew it.
Yeah.
And so, that's what we do in hypnosis, is uninstall that negativity and replace it with the truth of who you
Can
are.
I tell my story about that?
Yes.
First day of the workshop was Friday evening, and second get together group of, our circle of 10 or 12 with assistants. We were kind of, going around in a circle and kind of talking about, what are we afraid of, or, what are things that, that we've held dearly with not let anybody in. And I'm thinking to myself in this circle, I was like, well, I'm not afraid of much. I'm at that point almost 30, but I was,
because you had all this armor on.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I just didn't understand it.
Sure.
So as we were going around, I hear other people talking about, I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of that, or this is what, has always held me back. And I just remember by the time it got to me, it's like maybe second time around in the circle, I just somehow started well up and burst out saying, I'm afraid that my grandmother didn't want me either. And I'm just, nobody wants me. Nobody loves me and my family. And the reason why that came out is because I moved from Taiwan to America at age 9.5. So I went from my grandmother raising me to my mother raising me. But at first, my mother didn't want me. So that's why my grandmother raised me. And I never knew there was an impact in that. That really just was so surprising.
Sure, because you had the love of your grandmother. You didn't really realize it.
So when this exercise came around, I said, I didn't, I was so scared that grandma didn't want me anymore. And that's when I just broke the dam and start bawling like an infant, like a kid. I just couldn't stop it. I cried at least 5 minutes straight. And it was just unbelievable, that breakthrough that I had on that. And to this day, I can still remember the clarity that came right after it, because of that wall broke.
Yep,
and it finally let that little kid that was hiding and wanting to be protected and be secure
and safe,
finally see, oh, there's a world out there.
Yeah.
And that was only the first day. So you can imagine by Sunday, we were like, okay.
But that was definitely how much time, Jeff, from that Making Love Works breakthrough did we, and then there was at the beach that you went to the beach and released to the universe, to God. And it was only maybe a year later that we met? Not
5
even?
years.
It was 5 years.
5 years.
Well, God has his own timing,
right?
Divine timing. Right. And that just parlays really into, patience is not punishment. If it's taking 5 years, 5 months, 5 decades. I was a single parent for over 12 years, I believe it was, before I met my true love. Yeah. And, it was divine timing. It was preparation. It's not punishment. It's preparation. And you have to believe that. You just have to believe that, because love finds you when you're ready. Love finds you when you're busy being your most aligned version of yourself. And in Jeff's case, in my case, we were both on our trajectory to healing our inner childs and having breakthroughs and becoming and releasing and remembering who we really were, because we were all born enough. We were all born safe and loved and perfect. It's the world that put on other things to say, no, you're this, you're that, etc., that our subconscious believed. So absolutely. I encourage you, is tempting it is to just hop online and put photos out there and put some kind of a generic profile. Do your inner work. We've talked about it and had episode before, but create a profile that's inclusive of who you really are, your negotiables and non-negotiables. We will talk about those always, because they are so defining and will align you and attract to someone else, someone who's on your same energetic vibrational level. It just will make a world of difference. It absolutely will.
Yeah. In one of the non-negotiables and negotiables, well, I think for Kat was that she was not wanting to have any more kids.
Right? Well, it wasn't non-negotiable because I'd had a hysterectomy.
Right. So for me, in my mid-30s, getting ready to be around 35 at that time, I didn't have, the absolute have to have a child mentality,
which blew me away. I was actually, we were quite connected. I don't think we had met in person yet, but we spent hours and hours and hours on the phone for days. I was going to massage school at the time, come home at 10 o'clock at night and talk till 4 o'clock in the morning. It was crazy. But I really thought that when that topic came about, that, okay, this will probably be a deal breaker, because he's quite a bit younger than I am and has no children and probably wants children. And I had 3 children and wasn't having any more children. But much to my surprise, it was a non-issue.
No, it wasn't an issue at all.
Yeah.
Because again, I'm not getting married to have children. That it wasn't.
But you have to
idea.
admit that it could have gone differently.
It could have gone differently because
because-
if I would have found somebody else that I felt, it was compatible and that was wanting children, I didn't rule that out.
You didn't rule that out. Yeah.
Right. But it wasn't going into it that is my have to haves.
Yeah. So he knew again, and that could have been a very big, negotiable or non-negotiable. For someone else it might have been.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes back to what you said in the beginning of this episode, Jeff, is that if you come in with, okay, this is concrete how it has to be, I'm a firm believer that imagine what you want, see it, feel it, taste it, believe it, raise your vibrational level to be a match for it, but let the details up to God. Let the details up to God. This is what I want. This is what I see myself. Do your due diligence with your negotiables and your non-negotiables, but leave the hows, the whys, and the wheres and the whens up to source, because they may have something even beyond and bigger
That's right.
and grander than you could have ever imagined.
No question about it. That's why I've always said, if you go in with attachment of rigidness, you will only have the kind of outcome that creates from those boundaries.
Which are limited.
Which is always
those are
limited if you come in with that.
limiting
Yes.
beliefs.
Yes.
There is so much more that we don't even realize, that we couldn't even imagine.
Right.
And I have to say that for me too. I wasn't looking for a Chinese man over 10 years younger than me, who lived an hour away, who had long hair down to here. I wasn't looking for that.
No.
But I had an open mind and I let divine lead me. And the more I was led and the more I saw, the more I fell in love. And those preconceived notions were they were minimalized. They weren't important.
Right. Because preconceived is within our own thoughts, our own imaginations of, oh, I would like to have this, that, it's no.
And those are limiting beliefs, right?
Well, they're beliefs that you're comfortable in. These are your
comfort
your
zone.
favorites.
Mhm.
If the attraction comes from those things, but it's like no different than, let's say, a child who's never had great cuisine, whether it be Chinese, Indian, or whatever it may be, and all of a sudden they get to taste this so foreign to them, they could be like, oh no. But if they lose their paradigm in regards to, I'm not trying anything new and anything new is not going to be good, and they have an open mind, then you'll be surprised on how many kids will sit there and go, ooh, Indian food, ooh, Chinese food, and things like that. And we've seen that in our family because we don't put governors and boundaries up for these kids on certain things. Sure, you don't go surfing on the internet by yourself and not be protected. We don't let kids do that. But at the same time, we're never going to go, oh, what do you want to eat? Hamburger. We're in a Chinese restaurant. Hamburger. No. We're not having that. But I'll tell you what would be good. You like creamy, saucy stuff, so let's try this. You like, we look for alternatives, and that's the key. I think it's always to be willing to accept. To be willing
open.
to accept.
Yeah, keep your mind open. We used to have a saying in sales: the mind is like an umbrella. It only works when it's open. Keep your mind open,
Yes.
because there's so much more that God, the divine, may have in mind for you by you keeping an open mind.
Yes.
Now, that doesn't mean that you can't picture and manifest, do your inner child work, etc. In fact, we're going to close in I would like to, again, if it's safe for you, we're going to do a closing visualization. Before we do this, Jeff, is there any closing statements that you wanted to make?
Well, I just wanted to tell everybody that we want to thank you for being part of our Miracles Online family. Don't forget, the books is over at YaYuPublishing.com. Also, we got Substack coming out. We are going to do the yin and the yang, his and hers point of view on topics. So when you come to our Substack and see our posts and our articles, you'll see Kat's point of view, and then you will see my point of view.
And not to divide them, you will notice on, at least on the ones I'm going to contribute, that they could fall into the male or the female in terms of, advice or insights, etc. But they'll just be coming from, am I the yin or the yang?
You're the yin.
I'm the yang.
Yeah.
I'm the yang. So there you have that. And you can find the book Miracles Online at YaYu.com or YaYu Publishing. YaYu Publishing.com.
Yeah, links are below.
And when you buy the book, I'd love to hear from you. Write a letter, write a review, whatever you're comfortable with. It's a quick read, less than, I think, 90 pages. And share it with a friend if you're not single and you have a single friend who might enjoy it. So let's take a deep breath. And if it's safe, close your eyes. And we're just going to do a real quick visualization. So I want you to close your eyes and picture your future partner walking towards you. Whether it's on a street, on a beach, at a park. They're not rushing, but recognizing you. Feel the sensation of them seeing you, that you're known, that you're chosen. As you take a breath in, 2, 3, 4, and exhale. 2, 3, 4. What does the partner version of me believe about love? Think about that as you inhale. Then hold. 2, 3, 4. And see the partner as you exhale. And 2, 3, 4. Last time, inhale. And hold. 2, 3, 4. And exhale. And just calmly breathe. Keep your eyes closed as you continue to see your partner walking towards you, seeing you, knowing you, choosing you as you choose them, your divine partner. And so it is. That concludes our episode for today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah. Don't forget, leave us a comment, like, and subscribe. And with all that, I thank my little bear over here.